Let's go eat some mold, y'all. And I'm not talking about the complimentary mold you get at your favorite fast food restaurant. No, we're eating this with intention. Today on Poor Choices, we're cooking up Cajun blackened burgers with a homemade blue cheese dressing and a roasted tomato relish. And we're making these sliders style, perfect for tailgating or hosting your own watch party. And I just learned that legend has it that the discovery of blue cheese, and I'm not making this up, blue cheese was discovered because there was a young man eating a bread and cheese sandwich in a cave way back in the day, saw a beautiful woman walk by, put his sandwich down, went after the woman, then came back months later to find mold growing on his cheese. And I'm going to assume he still ate it. Which for me, that woman would have to be fine as hell for me to stop in the middle of eating and go after her. But then I imagine the relationship had to be super toxic for him to come back months later and say, this sandwich can't be as bad as what I just went through. Starting out, back to the voiceover, but only because my microphones at the time of this, the recording of this recipe, they were rented out for the weekend. I shoot these on Saturdays. I do my intros on like Wednesdays. So just didn't have access to it and didn't want you to hear the horrible echo that is my kitchen. So we're back to this style. I'm gonna switch it up every now and then between the voiceover and being on camera. If a recipe is pretty complex, I'll be on screen. If it's pretty straightforward like this one is, voiceover style. It's almost like a cooking companion. So let's make our blue cheese dressing. We're starting with this first so it has time to chill in the fridge and come together. I'd recommend 2 hours, but at least 30 minutes is fine. So in a bowl, we're gonna mix together mayonnaise, sour cream, and buttermilk, not the low fat stuff. We're going full on creamy indulgence here. Throw in some champagne vinegar or white wine vinegar, a dash of Worcestershire sauce, and I'm mashing up some garlic confit that I made in a previous video, link below. But if you don't want to go through that process, you can absolutely use fresh garlic minced up. The confit garlic just adds some extra depth of flavor to the dish and it separates your blue cheese from everybody else's. I'm also adding in some Dijon mustard, and by the way, all the measurements are down in the description just so you don't have to hear me say tablespoon and teaspoon 6,000 times. Now the star of the show, some crumbled blue cheese. And if you're not into blue cheese, you can fucking leave. I'm just kidding. I actually used to hate blue cheese up until recently, and I just kind of started enjoying it. Started with a drunk night with some chicken wings, and it just kind of transformed from there. Sometimes you just gotta let your taste buds mature. So for the blue cheese, we're just gonna fold it in and keep it chunky because we like it thick. We're gonna add some salt, some pepper, and a squeeze of lemon juice to make it pop. And lastly, let's throw in some finely chopped chives for color and some flavor. We're gonna mix that all up and then refrigerate that beautiful concoction until you're ready to drizzle it all over your buns, and I guess the sliders too. Next is the roasted tomato relish, which is like 100 times better than just ketchup or sliced tomatoes. So we're gonna preheat our oven to 400 degrees. We're gonna grab those tomatoes and we're gonna slice them in half, remove the cores by just cutting little wedges into the center and removing it. And then lay them out, cut side up, drizzle them with some olive oil, hit it with some salt and pepper, and then we're just gonna slide those bad boys into the oven and roast them for about 45 minutes. You want them soft and caramelized. Then we'll get them out and let the tomatoes cool for just a few minutes or cool enough to handle, and then just remove the skin as best as you can and chop the tomatoes up. Then we're gonna grab a pan and put it over some medium heat with a little bit of olive oil, and we're gonna saute some red onions until they're nice and soft. Then we're gonna add in our roasted diced up tomatoes, which I did drain some of the liquid off first. I'm also adding in some more garlic confit here, but fresh minced garlic is fine too. Throw in some brown sugar, balsamic vinegar, smoked paprika, and don't forget salt and pepper. Anytime you're working with a lot of tomatoes, you're gonna need a lot of salt. So if you're tasting this and it's kind of like not really hitting that certain spot, most likely you're just gonna need some more salt. Let it simmer until it reaches your desired consistency, which for me was nice and thick, like grits. And again, you wanna taste this and adjust it to your liking. Maybe you need some more brown sugar because you want some more sweetness. Maybe you want that vinegar taste, so you add some more balsamic vinegar. And again, don't skip on the salt and fresh pepper. And the last thing I did, and this is optional, I turned off the heat and added a little bit of freshly chopped basil. And that's our relish. And I've read that if you jar these and keep them in the fridge, they're good for up to a year, but it probably won't last that long because this stuff is good. Not just on these sliders, but any type of burger or just on some toast or crackers or chips, so enjoy. Now for the burgers, I've just got a pound of 80-20 ground beef, and I'm breaking these up into 8 even small sized patties, and they're gonna be coming in around like 2 ounces each. And remember, burgers tend to shrink when they cook, so I like to hold a patty up to my bun packaging and just make sure it's a little bit bigger than the bun, so when it does shrink, it still fills the bun up instead of just being a tiny sliver of meat surrounded by bread. So once the patties are formed, I hit them with some blackening seasoning, and this is my favorite, people, Cattleman's Grill blackening seasoning. You already knew that was coming. But honestly, use any blackening seasoning you want. It's always at the stores or online. And just give both sides a good coating, and then let's get our cooking apparatus up to temperature. So you can totally do this on a grill or in a cast iron pan, but today I'm going with this Blackstone E-Series electric griddle. They're not a sponsor, but I wanted to try it out, especially since my old griddle was so abused so badly by me, and it was time to get a new one. So I've got this set to 500 degrees, and it's got dual zone temperatures, so you can set one side cooler than the other if you'd like, but I've got both sides at 500 degrees because first I want to cook up some bacon. I've got 4 strips of thick cut bacon that I plan to cut into 8 halves, and we're just going to get those cooked up. I also toasted my buns at the same time. Then we're going to set all that aside, and into that bacon grease, I'm putting our burgers down and letting them cook until that blackening seasoning has had a chance to, well, blacken. Then we're going to flip and cook some more. I think the total time might have been 10 minutes, but I always go by my probe, and when I probed them, they were at least medium, which is coming in like around 145. I'm also only doing 4 right now because I had friends coming over later to eat some, but I could totally have filled this thing up with probably like 50 sliders. Even though there is some temperature drop when you put things on, I'm kind of used to it, having used electric griddles before. You just have to be patient and let the process do its thing. I still got some good crust on these sliders, and that was without having to do it smash burger style. I will have a more in-depth review on this griddle after I have a few more cooks on it, but overall, I'm really enjoying it, especially for breakfast. And now we plate. First, we go down with that relish, then some small butter lettuce leaves, our patty, the bacon, and drizzle that blue cheese dressing all over the top. And there you have it, black and blue burgers, slider style. Hey everybody, this is Poor Choices Kitchen. We have a Patreon link down in the description. $1 a month is all we ask for to pay for recipes in these here inflated times. And we also have YouTube memberships. That's $2.99 because YouTube likes to take its cut. And that goes towards the same thing, paying for recipes in these here inflated times. As far as the Poor Choice goes, I was sipping on some bourbon because anytime I do anything Cajun or Creole, I'm always gonna have some type of bourbon around. So that's what my Poor Choice was for the day. And the cool thing about this recipe is, like, again, that tomato relish you can use for like toast, chips, crackers. You'll have plenty of blue cheese dressing, so if you want to make some buffalo wings on the side, you got that to dip in. And then the sliders are just like the perfect finger food. Like, this is just a great football party, any type of sporting event party recipe because it makes so many things that complements other stuff, as well as just giving you a very easy finger food that feeds people really well. So I hope you enjoy this, and I will see you all back here next time. Peace.